Hello and welcome back to the News Project Live on GNAT-TV's Facebook page. I'm Andrew McKeever, the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today on Friday, July 31st. We're just going to give a quick rundown of some of the main news stories we've been following and covering over the past week or so, and we'll start off, of course, with the one that's probably the uppermost in most people's minds, whether or not you have kids in school or not, and that's of course the plans for school reopenings. Um, as you probably heard last week, Governor Phil Scott announced that there would be a universal start date to schools across the state in Vermont on Tuesday, September 8th. And that applies both to public schools and independent schools. They pushed back the normal start time of the school year a little bit to give teachers and administrators a little more extra time to kind of work through some of the very complicated plans that they're going to have in place in order to ensure the safest possible start to the school year when students return to school. As everyone's well aware, this is a very important thing for parents who are concerned about their kids getting the best possible educational experience they can under some very trying and unusual circumstances, and it also has an economic ripple effect, so that those same parents can get back to work full time as much as they can. But most of the plans that we're seeing so far involve some sort of hybrid between remote learning and in-person learning, and the in-person learning is also going to be kind of staggered and broken up a little bit from what we're normally used to. One thing that will be a constant, I think, across just about all the various schools we've looked at will be face masks that will be required. Temperature checks will be done frequently. And let's see, just kind of going down through the list here of some of the local schools that we have some information about. Both the Long Trail School in Dorset and Burton Academy in Manchester are both planning for a mix of in-person and remote instruction, and there will be full online learning options that will be available to students who have, medical or other needs that form of learning might help them the most. Burton will begin the school year in a hybrid teaching mode, using, as I said, both the online and in-person platforms. Uh, BBA, along with a lot of schools, are doing this. They're going to divide their on-campus student body into two parts or cohorts, um, and kids will attend school days and alternate days between the two in order to maintain some social distancing. The school will use remote learning exclusively on Fridays, and that will allow the school staff to also deep clean the school. Um, School is also looking at doing a lot of programming outdoor, or as much as possible outdoors, since the evidence shows the transmission rates of the COVID-19 virus are much lower when you're outdoors than when you're indoors. Over at Long Trail, they're planning to alternate school attendance for the first 3 weeks with the middle school, or grades 6 through 8, and the high school grades of 9 through 12, trading off on alternate days on the campus. Um, and the grade level not on campus for 3 days a week will get an additional online lesson. If all goes according to plan, the eventual goal is to bring back all the students who want to be present on campus. Um, Over at the BRSU, or Bennington Rutland Supervisory Union, they've announced a three-phase plan for reopening their 6 elementary and middle school buildings in the 9 towns they serve. That would include Sunderland, Manchester, Dorset, Danby, Rupert, Paulet, the Floodbrook School in Londonderry, which also serves Weston, Landgrove, and Peru. And this was described in a letter that was sent out to parents by the BRSU administrators. Schools will begin the 2021 school year on August 31st in a primarily in a distance mode. School buildings will be open for students who need to be physically at the school in order to meaningfully access their education. And enrollment in this phase will be capped at somewhere between 10 and 20% of the total school enrollment. Moving on to phase two, when we get to September 8th, schools will be open to 50% of capacity. In other words, half the student body will be present in the school building at one time, in grades kindergarten through 5 and 6. The Medway, Sunderland, and Courier schools will open the entire school at 50% capacity. Manchester, Floodbrook, and Dorset schools will have students in grades kindergarten through 5, beginning in the second phase. Again, the students will be divided into two cohorts, with one cohort attending school in person Monday and Tuesday, second cohort attending in person on Thursday and Friday. Wednesday will be the distance learning day, and the school buildings will be closed for the deep cleaning. Phase 3 will hopefully move on to closer to a fuller in-person instruction that will cover grades 6 through 8 in Dorset, Floodbrook, and Manchester. But students will still be divided into the two cohorts, with one cohort attending school in person Monday and Tuesday, the second cohort attending in person Thursday and Friday. Down in Arlington, school officials discussed their plans at a school board meeting this past Wednesday. You'll be able to watch that full meeting on GNAT-TV. And basically, again, it will be a mix of the in-person or remote learning that will be offered both at the Fisher Elementary School and the Arlington Memorial High School, which also includes their middle school. Students will attend school in person at the high school. Students will attend school in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. Wednesday will be a remote learning day, and middle school and high school students will be kept separate. At Fisher, there will be a staggered start to the school year on September 8th, different classes attending on alternate days, working to Friday, September 11th, when all schools will be in school, all students will be in school, but also divided into the two cohorts to minimize the intermingling. So really complicated stuff. If you are a parent of a student in one of these schools, you've probably already been in contact with school officials about their plans or gotten information from them, but more detailed information is available than what I'm able to offer you here. Although I just did want to mention that this coming week, next week, we'll be having two in-depth discussions with school officials. One group on Monday, the heads of Burn Burton, Long Trail, and the Maple Street School will be with us to discuss their opening plans. And then later that week on Wednesday, I believe, we're going to be having a conversation with the BRSU Superintendent, Dr. Randy Lowe, and the Baton Cove Valley Superintendent, William Basic, who will be talking about plans down there in Arlington. Again, complicated stuff. School lunches have to be figured out. All kinds of new classroom protocols will have to be in place. As I said earlier, a very different back to school experience from what everybody's been used to up to now. And we will definitely be following all of this as close as we can going forward. On a somewhat lighter note, the grandstand at Applejack Field is getting an upgrade. The bleachers are being refurbished and strengthened, and some new seating put in. Did a segment with town manager John O'Keefe and the main curator of the Manchester Historical Society, Sean Harrington, to tell us a little bit about the history of the grandstand. So that'll be up on our website at GNAT-TV.org, and also on our channels, which are now at 1074, 1084, and 1094 this coming week. But kind of interesting to see what might be coming there as the town attempts to build up the rec park to being a major sports venue around the state. Also worth noting that next week on a week and a half from now, on August 11th, will be a ribbon cutting for the new track and field facility over there on the other side of the rec park. That's coming along really quickly, and looks like that'll be a great new addition to the rec park, and so we'll have an opportunity to look at that too. Let's see, a couple of other things worth noting. It's been a proposed development at the Bournebrook Farm on Benson Road in Manchester that would expand operations to include lodging and also a fine dining restaurant. It's described as an eco retreat, a four-season concept that would offer an eco-friendly, experiential, and educational retreat utilizing the existing assets on the property and surrounding area. But it's drawn a little bit of local controversy. Some of the neighbors aren't exactly charmed by the whole idea, and there will be a hearing, actually the third hearing on this, proposal next on August 5th by the Manchester Development Review Board, and you can watch that on Zoom if you're interested in that. We'll also try to bring you up to speed on that later once that hearing is over. I mentioned mask mandate, the face mask wearing in connection with school reopenings, and just wanted to point out also that tomorrow, Saturday, August 1st, is the day that the state mask mandate goes into official effect. The governor's been encouraging that ever since this all began, but getting concerned about the COVID outbreaks in neighboring states and elsewhere, and so therefore they're going to put in place this mandatory face mask wearing if you're in a public place, along with a general, again, encouragement to keep use common sense, and when you can't social distance, appropriately wear a face mask. One last note, the Department of Public Service in Vermont has launched an extension customer assistance program, which will be providing up to $3,000 for consumers to help extend telecommunication lines to their home. It's a $2 million project altogether. It's an opportunity to kind of reach those last mile folks or people who don't yet have good broadband service. You can now get some assistance if you want to file an application with the Department of Public Service to get some help having a line strung to your home, up your driveway, and to get faster broadband service. So that'll about do it for this week. Hope you're all staying well and looking forward to the weekend. And again, just stay safe, and we'll see you next Friday for the GNAT-TV News Project. It's been a pleasure being with you today. I'm Andrew McKeever. We'll see you next time. Take care.